As you guys probably know by now, there have been some major changes made to Call of Duty with the launch of Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. Some minor changes, a new battle pass, some game modes mixed around, new weapons of course as always, but some other major changes were made as well, core gameplay things that, completely changed the way we play both games. And IW is actually making a surprise move by reverting these decisions and adding back removed features and content. We're going to go through what they're doing here at the start of Season 2 in today's video. Shout out to my partner, Apex Gaming PCs, a bunch of great customizable PCs over there. If you do go on to buy a PC, be sure to use code MATTERS for up to 5% off your entire purchase. Really do appreciate that, guys. But first up here, as you've been seeing, if you follow IW's Twitter or you're subscribed to any Call of Duty YouTuber, IW has been tweeting a bunch of things that, they're changing for Season 2. They heard the community's feedback, they delayed the season by 2 weeks, and it seems like they're really listening now to what people have been saying. The player numbers have fallen drastically, and it seems like despite the $1 billion in sales at the start of MW2, the game is in a weird state right now. So they're listening and they're reverting back a bunch of their previously made decisions. I want to go through some examples of this here, what they confirmed to us and what else we could be seeing return to Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. So we of course have this here, no HUD, no problem, hardcore is back. This to me was a minor issue. Of course, if you guys don't know, Tier 1 is a mode in MW2's MP right now that was available at the start of the game, which is pretty much a new version of hardcore. I mean, as far as I know, it's the exact same, except you don't have any hit markers, and there's just less stuff. There's no kill feed. It's just like hardcore, but even less features, even less stuff, and, it honestly is a bit too confusing. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on when you're playing a Tier 1. It's fun, but, I think hardcore is definitely the better mode. Again, not a big deal, but a lot of people were saying they'd much rather just see the normal hardcore mode return, and it seems like, again, IW is reverting this decision. I doubt Tier 1 will stay, honestly. I don't think there's a big player base for it. They'll probably just replace it with, the original hardcore. But that's the first example there of them adding something that was already in most Call of Duties in the past. They obviously tried something new with Tier 1, which I have to appreciate them for trying something new. Obviously, it's not a bad thing, but it didn't work out, and they're reverting the decision, and they're adding back the original hardcore mode for MP. Now, for other stuff here, I want to talk a lot about MW2's MP, of course. I've been talking a ton about that and the lack of 6v6 content, but for Warzone here, we just got this today, cash going up and prices going down. There's now more lootable cash available in Battle Royale, and prices are getting balanced to give you more bang for your buck. Another example here of a big issue with Warzone 2, everything seemed too expensive. There was barely any cash on the map. Another thing they haven't addressed yet, but I've been seeing across all different platforms, definitely Warzone streamers have been talking about this, and players as well, going to a buy station and being limited to a certain item, or if, the greatest example is the UAV there. If you bought a UAV at a buy station, another player on your team can't buy another UAV at that buy station, and you can't stack UAVs like you could in the past, and there's just a lot of limitations to the buy station. Everything is super expensive. Obviously, loadouts were very expensive. The prices for those were already decreased, but that might be decreased even more. Changes like those, like it or hate it, for the most part, it seems like the majority of the community did not like those changes, and they're going back and reverting those decisions there, which is going to be a very common theme here with Season 2. More stuff here, Battle Royale looting changes, and many more coming with Season 2. Player eliminations, and all loot containers will now pop floating loot out onto the floor. Again, something we already saw back from Warzone 1, going back on their previous decision here. Now, I'm not saying that, the community is right and IW was wrong. As I said, I don't necessarily hate all the new changes, and I'm not necessarily against having new ways to play in this new era of COD 2.0. I mean, I've been enjoying MW2, but there are some things that worked in the past that, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That type of mindset there, and it seems like, again, that's what they're doing. And Courage goes on a tweet storm here. He actually gives a lot of interesting points that I want to go through. Stuff, especially with Modern Warfare 2, because he's, coming from the competitive Call of Duty scene. If you guys don't know, Courage was previously a COD competitive caster back in the day. So he's from that MP scene, and he goes through a bunch of changes that they made just for the sake of change, which again seems like a very common theme. Again, I'm not against change. I definitely don't want to just go back to the old days and have Call of Duty exactly the way it was, but there were some things that just probably didn't need to be changed here. He goes through some stuff. Nobody asked for the following to be removed. Hardcore modes, that's being reverted, of course. Loadouts, slight changes were made for Warzone 2's launch. I feel like they're going to revert that as well. red dots and dead silence from multiplayer. That is a big one. 1v1 gulag, fast-paced looting, and more. So it seems like, again, you know, 1v1 gulag they're bringing back. They already said fast-paced looting with the pop-up. I'm pretty sure that's going to make it a bit more fast, so they're reverting with that as well. The red dot and dead silence is a big one, which I don't know. I mean, we didn't really have that in MW 2019, you know, back during the MW2 beta, or no, actually it was before the beta. It was the MW2 multiplayer pre-alpha, where a bunch of influencers and YouTubers were invited out to play the game early. They actually had red dots on their build, and they said the game was so fun, and then IW devs said that was a bug, and they removed it, and obviously we don't have red dots on the minimap anymore. Now, overall, again, you know, have I been enjoying MW2's MP without red dots? Yeah, like, to me, I would rather see red dots on the minimap. It's just more of a natural flow of how multiplayer should work with Call of Duty, but I've still been enjoying the game. But again, it's just a change where it's like, did it make sense to make that change? Was it a big deal? Did it really change the overall gameplay and atmosphere and environment of Call of Duty? Did it improve the game for the better? Was it done to help casuals? I don't really know. I mean, will they go back on that change? That would be a huge surprise move. We don't know for sure, but that would be crazy. But, you know, Courage goes through a bunch of stuff here on Warzone as well. So he says, what made Warzone 1 special was the gun-up, fast-paced, arcade-style gameplay. You know, same for multiplayer as well, I would say. You were never really out of the game as long as your teammate had gulag and enough money to buy you back. I'll forever question how so many decisions were made to strip that feeling away from the game. If COD players wanted a more realistic military sim-type gameplay, then there are options out there, but I think the overwhelming majority of players just wants what COD does best and to iterate on that, which, you know, I don't think we have hard numbers on what the majority of players actually want, unfortunately. You know, I don't know if my comment section is the best gauge of what all COD players want. I don't know if a Twitter poll is the best way to gauge what all COD players want. I just don't know for sure. So again, let me know down below. Do you want them to go back to more of a normal style of Call of Duty? Do you like all of these new changes here? Did you like Warzone 2 before the changes? MW2's MP? Do you like not having red dots? Let me know. But I don't think no one knows for sure what everyone wants here, unfortunately, for Call of Duty. Raise the bar on what's working instead of taking away, which, I mean, I do understand what Courage is saying, though. I don't want to say, like, I'm for the most part, I agree, honestly. But he goes on to say, by stripping the movement capabilities of players and removing YY to cancel your reload, just another weird change, again, that just didn't need to be made, in my opinion. You go on a slippery slope of gutting player identity. This includes one-shot sniper, headshots. Now, it heavily rewards sitting in windows with ADS held. Everyone begins to feel the same. If people ask for more vehicle realism, it just makes everything feel more clunky and sluggish as a player, especially coming from Warzone 1, where they were so responsive. I don't mind the new vehicle system, honestly. I think it's cool being able to, you know, repair and fuel up your vehicles, and they, you know, I don't know. I don't really agree with that there, but I get where he's coming from. Why remove shooting at people in the air while dropping in? It was rare to have happen, but created epic moments. I mean, I agree. You know, I don't know why they removed that. I guess they just want people to be able to drop in and not get pistol whipped out the sky. But, you know, maybe that was a thing to help casual players. Maybe not. I don't know. Not a big deal for me, though, honestly. From my perspective, I really feel like the community would rather have modes feel extremely polished and fleshed out with a clear vision than a bunch of modes that all feel like they didn't get enough love. I wish DMZ released 1 year after the Warzone 2 and MP release, which I don't know about that either. I think DMZ is in a pretty good state. Of course, you know, it did launch in a beta, and there isn't a ton of content there. There are missions to do and things to do in DMZ, but I don't know. I feel like it's fine releasing now as it is. But I guess in a year, there probably would have been so much more content for DMZ. So, again, I get where he's coming from with that. I think where Warzone 2 needs to go is expand on things that make Warzone more unique. So, much faster meta changes. RPK shouldn't be dominant for over 2 months. That's pretty true. Expand on unique moments like jailbreak, multi-circle, etc. Less bots. Warzone ranked mode to rival Apex ranked. I agree with all of that there. I think the point of this thread was to say that many changes we're now seeing reverted was obvious that this would be happening to people who played Warzone 1. I'm happy they're happening, but I thought this was COD 2.0. Shout out to all the hardworking devs fighting the good fight. So overall, again, you know, this video, and I don't think Courage's goal there too is to like bash devs and be like, oh, they messed up this game and this and that, because there probably are, you know, there definitely are a lot of people that genuinely want to just to change things up and make things different and try a different way of doing things and, you know, try different gameplay features. And I don't think, you know, people get too hung up in this like ill intent. Like, I don't think there's any ill intent there, like, oh, we're gonna ruin Call of Duty. Like, the devs are purposely trying to ruin Call of Duty. Like, I think they want us to enjoy the game. It's a crazy thing for me to say, right? But overall, there are some things that I can honestly say, you know, giving fair constructive criticism, that didn't need to be changed with MW2 and Warzone 2. And it seems like they are, you know, reverting back a bunch of those previously made decisions. So we'll see how far they go. We'll see what happens here. I still want changes. I still want new stuff for the future, of course. I don't want them just to go back to old Call of Duty and old Warzone, exactly how it was. But, you know, we'll see what ends up happening here. You know, with Season 2, it seems like we're getting a bunch of stuff here. We'll be covering it all on the channel. Let me know your opinions on this down below. What do you want to see changed here for MW2 Warzone 2? Any major problems you have with the game right now? And yeah, that's it here for this video. Subscribe for more MW2 Warzone 2 news update videos like this. Shout out to the YouTube channel members as always. And I'll see you guys in the next video or live stream. Peace out, guys.